People often say that money is like water, but in the United States, there's a truth most people don't want to admit. Many are dying of thirst while standing right next to a river. They don't lack opportunity. They don't lack jobs. They don't lack information. What they do lack is a pair of hands that know how to hold water, a healthy relationship with money, a way of seeing the world that makes money flow into their lives instead of slipping through their fingers. Lewis Howes calls this the invisible crack, the memories, beliefs, and fears about money that every American carries from childhood. That crack is what makes some people work 2 or 3 jobs and still feel stressed, makes others afraid to ask for the salary they deserve, and keeps many chasing more and more, yet never feeling enough. And then one day, they wake up in silence and ask themselves, why am I working so hard but still being controlled by money? The answer, according to Howes, was never in the bank balance. It's in the money story each person has unconsciously lived by their entire life. Make money easy doesn't promise to make you rich overnight. It does something much harder. It teaches you to rewrite your relationship with money, so money feels lighter, calmer, and finally starts working for you. Part 1. Money Story. The financial beliefs you unknowingly carry with you. No one is born knowing how to earn money, keep money, or feel comfortable around money. But most people grow up with something even stronger than knowledge, an invisible storyline about money, passed down from family, from fear, and from years of struggle none of us consciously chose. Lewis Howes calls this your money story, the invisible financial journal you carry for life, even though you never wrote it. Some people grew up in cramped rental apartments in Ohio or Texas, where parents fought over bills every month. Others grew up in quiet suburbs where money was considered something you simply don't talk about, as if mentioning it was rude. Some grew up in the middle of wealthy America, yet were taught that earning too much is greedy, investing is dangerous, and finances are only for people who know what they're doing. The way you see money today often isn't yours. It's someone else's voice, echoing from the past. In Make Money Easy, Howes highlights something most of us overlook. Money doesn't begin in your wallet, it begins in your memories. Every spending decision, every fear of investing, every knot in your stomach when money comes up, traces back to early stories you never realized were shaping you. He says many American adults still carry outdated messages like, money is dangerous, being wealthy is selfish, investing is gambling, I don't deserve to be rich. When these beliefs repeat long enough, they solidify into absolute truths and shape every financial behavior. Some people earn money but can't hold on to it. Some spend first and think later. Some cling to stable jobs forever, yet still feel trapped. Not because they're incompetent, but because their money story is a cage, not a map. Howes guides readers towards one deceptively simple but deeply important step: returning to your original script. Not to blame your parents, not to blame yourself, but to understand this: you're living with someone else's memories, not your own choices. He suggests an exercise that has brought many guests on his podcast to tears. Write down the money phrases you heard most as a child. Then ask one question: if I heard this for the first time at age 25, would I believe it? That's the moment many people realize their beliefs aren't wrong, they're just outdated. Like old software running on new hardware, everything becomes slow, glitchy, and stuck, and it needs an update right now. Howes says that if you want financial freedom, you must start where almost no one thinks to look, by clearing the dust of childhood memories off your relationship with money. Because if your mind whispers danger, your hands will never dare reach for opportunity. If your heart says, I'm not worthy, then no matter how much you earn, you'll pull yourself back to zero. Money isn't the problem, your money story is. And the real question you need to face is this: are you living your own financial life, or the one taught to you by someone when you were 6 years old?
Part 2. Abundance Mindset. You deserve money and the freedom to live comfortably. There's one idea Lewis Howes repeats throughout Make Money Easy. People don't stay poor because they lack money. They stay poor because they lack the sense of worthiness that allows prosperity in. It sounds counterintuitive, but if you look closely at your own behaviors, it becomes uncomfortably true. Many people grow up believing that money is dangerous, dirty, or corrupting, or that wealth is something reserved for other people, the lucky ones, the talented ones, the ones born into the right family. So when they become adults, even with hard work, opportunities, and increasing income, they end up sabotaging their finances without realizing it. Overspending the moment they get a bonus, turning down a raise for no clear reason, or undervaluing themselves during negotiations. Not because they're not smart, but because deep in their subconscious, they don't believe they deserve money. Lewis Howes calls this the invisible financial trauma, the wound that causes you to sabotage yourself every time you get close to a better life. In the US, this shows up in countless forms that often go unnoticed. A woman in Austin earns $90,000 a year, yet feels guilty buying something she loves because her mother always said good women don't spend wastefully. A man in Ohio refuses to apply for a manager position despite being qualified because he grew up in a community where successful people were labeled show-offs. A small business owner in Denver reinvests in meaningless things every time his revenue rises, just to fall back to his old numbers because he isn't used to having more than the bare minimum. Lewis says, none of these people have a money skills problem. They have a self-worth problem. And the very first step to making money feel easy is breaking the limiting belief that wealth is rare, distant, or reserved for the lucky ones. Abundance doesn't come from a bank balance. It comes from understanding that I deserve a life of enough time, enough peace, enough options, enough freedom. When you believe you're worthy, small but powerful changes begin to happen. You stop being afraid to talk about money. You allow yourself to want more. You charge what your skills are actually worth. You learn, you take opportunities, you build a sustainable financial system. You stop running from your bills, and you stop feeling guilty for spending on things that truly matter. Lewis explains that the biggest difference between someone scraping by and someone financially comfortable isn't income. It's the internal rule they live by. One thinks, I must struggle. The other thinks, I deserve better than this. When you shift that core belief, you begin acting like someone who's building a future, not someone who is merely trying to survive each day. And money, instead of being a source of stress, becomes a tool, a driver that helps you live according to your real values. So, the final question Lewis asks each of us is this: are you living a life shaped by your fears or by the worthiness you believe you deserve? Part 3. Defining a rich life. What does being truly wealthy mean? There's a quiet truth most people never confront. Most of us don't actually know what kind of life we want. We just assume that being rich is good, necessary, and worth chasing. But rich how? Rich for what? Rich to what extent before it finally feels enough? Almost no one stops to ask. Lewis Howes calls this the silent trap, the trap of vagueness. Because if you don't define your own rich life, the world will define it for you. Social media, advertising, people flexing online, and standards that aren't yours, but somehow pressure you to keep up. In the US, there are countless people driving the newest SUVs, wearing designer brands, checking in at Michelin restaurants every weekend, yet they're losing sleep over credit cards, arguing about money, and living with the constant fear that one unexpected crisis could tear everything apart. From the outside, they look wealthy. Inside, they're empty. Howes calls this fake fullness, the illusion of having a lot. Which is why he emphasizes this truth: a rich life isn't a number in your bank account. It's the feeling you get when you look at your life. It's the peace of knowing money doesn't control you. It's the confidence that you're moving toward a direction you chose, not one you got pushed into. A single mother from Austin once shared that for 10 years, She believed being rich meant having a bigger house. She worked 2 jobs, rarely saw her child, and kept upgrading her electronics, furniture, and car just to look successful. It wasn't until her health collapsed that she realized what she truly wanted. A schedule that didn't force her to miss her child's school performances, a savings cushion so a broken car wouldn't cause panic, and a job that didn't drain the life out of her. That was her rich life. Not more possessions, but fewer fears. Howes insists that to transform your finances, you must first answer the question most people avoid. What does a rich life actually mean to me? For some, wealth means freedom. The freedom to do work they enjoy, or walk away from work they hate. For others, wealth is time, being able to eat dinner with family without watching deadlines. For others, wealth is experiences, traveling, learning, exploring, and for many, wealth is safety, an emergency fund, insurance, a future that feels solid. There's no right or wrong, there's only what's right for you and what's not. And here's the surprising part. When someone becomes crystal clear about their rich life, their financial decisions become dramatically easier because money stops being a vague goal and becomes a tool guiding them toward a picture they've already painted. Lewis leaves us with the question everyone should ask at least once in their life. If wealth wasn't about proving anything to anyone, what would your true rich life look like?
Part 4. The Money Map, a financial roadmap so you never feel lost. For most of life, people don't stay poor because they earn too little. They stay poor because they have no idea where they're going. Lewis Howes says most of us treat money like a random stream. We're happy when it flows in, we sigh when it flows out. No goals, no plan, no direction. And this loop makes many Americans feel like they're always one step behind, even while working 40 to 60 hours a week. Howes calls this the mapless financial life. You keep walking, but you have no idea where your steps are leading. You save based on mood, spend based on emotion, invest based on someone's suggestion. And when crisis hits, job loss, illness, and emergency, everything collapses simply because there was no money map guiding you. A real money map isn't a crowded Excel sheet or a minimalism checklist. It's your personal declaration about your financial future. It's answering with absolute clarity the questions most adults never ask themselves. What do I want my life to look like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? What does financial freedom mean to me? And how much do I actually need to achieve it? What income streams do I want to rely on? What principles will guide how I allocate my money so I never feel reactive again? In the book, Howes explains that once you write these down, your brain shifts from survival mode to navigation mode. You stop reacting. You start directing. You save with intention. You understand why you declined an $80 dinner. You understand why you choose to learn a new skill instead of binge-watching Netflix or scrolling TikTok. And here's the strange, beautiful part. When the map is clear, even the smallest actions become meaningful. One striking example is Maria, a nurse in Minnesota whom Howes interviewed for this chapter. She worked 2 shifts a day, earned a steady income, yet never felt ahead. Her bank balance always returned to nearly zero by the end of each month. She assumed the problem was her income. But when Maria created her money map, defining her 5-year homeownership goal, setting up a 6-month emergency fund target, and allocating 15% of her income to investing, everything changed. Not because she earned more, but because for the first time in her life, her money had a destination. She stopped buying discounted items just in case. She declined store credit cards despite aggressive sales pitches. She spent 3 hours a week learning advanced patient care skills so she could request a raise. 3 years later, Maria bought her first home, not because she got lucky, but because she finally had a map. Howes emphasizes that a money map also protects you from a deeply American trap, the comfortable but unfulfilled life. Good income, steady bills, no harmful debt, but no real freedom either. Without a plan, you're not progressing, you're just maintaining. And the question this chapter forces every reader to confront is, where are you going?
And what evidence do you have that you'll actually get there? If you can't answer, it means you don't have a map. And as House says, no one drifts their way into financial freedom. A money map is your commitment to your own future, a clear, specific, measurable path that finally pulls you out of the fog you've lived in for too long. Part 5. Monetizing your value. Skills you can turn into income. There's a truth most people never dare to face. They're not broke because they lack skills. They're broke because they lack awareness of the skills they already have. Lewis Howes says every person carries a gold mine inside them. Not a million-dollar idea, not some magical talent, but the value they naturally create so effortlessly that they forget it's worth money. But as we grow up, society teaches us the opposite. We're encouraged to be humble to the point of doubting ourselves. We're told, choose safe jobs. We're warned, don't ask for too much or you'll lose the opportunity. And so adults carry a fear of valuing themselves, afraid of rejection, afraid of being judged, afraid of being called too confident. Howes calls this the invisible scar in Western financial thinking. People underestimate their value, so they sell themselves cheaply. Or worse, they never give themselves a chance to offer anything at all. Think about it. How many Americans are incredible at fixing computers but work desk jobs because it seems more stable? How many cook so well that friends rave about it, yet never consider taking weekend orders? How many people write well, speak well, teach well, yet spend their entire lives not realizing they could be paid for the very thing they do best? Howes tells the story of a young woman in Ohio who once believed she was nothing special. She loved designing slides, a skill she assumed everyone had. But after losing her job, she forced herself to try offering it online. 3 months later, she was making double her old salary using the very skill she once dismissed as too small. What changed wasn't her talent, it was how she saw herself. In the modern economy, value no longer comes from degrees or job titles. Value comes from your ability to solve problems, from the skill you do exceptionally well, from the experiences you've accumulated, from the ways you make someone else's life easier. And if you can save someone time, reduce their stress, or help them achieve something they want, you already have a product to sell. The real question isn't, what are you good at? It's, what do you do effortlessly that other people struggle with? That's the starting point of every income stream. Howes emphasizes that unlocking your personal value isn't exploitation, it's self-respect. When you put a fair price on your work, you teach others how to treat you. When you dare to ask for what your skills are worth, you break the cycle of financial scarcity passed down from previous generations. And then comes the final question, not to be answered immediately, but to shift the way you look at your life. If your value is real, why are you letting it sit untouched? What skill are you holding back? The one that could change your financial future? Simply because you've never allowed yourself to see it as an asset.
Part 6. Financial habits. Freedom comes from small, daily behaviors. There's one thing Lewis Howes emphasizes over and over. Financial freedom doesn't come from big decisions. It comes from the tiny habits you repeat until they become automatic. People often imagine wealth begins with a massive investment, a lucky break, or a million-dollar idea. But in reality, it begins with the small, almost invisible actions you perform every day, usually in silence, when no one is watching. Howes says every result you have today, good or bad, is the product of the personal financial system you built for yourself, sometimes out of survival, sometimes out of fear, and often without any awareness. If you don't control that system, it will control you, and it usually leads to scarcity. Every American has felt that moment. Payday on Friday, and by the middle of next week, you're checking your bank balance to see if you still have enough for gas. Not because you didn't have money to begin with, but because you weren't in control of your behaviors around money. What Howes wants us to understand is this: new habits aren't about saving money. They're about creating choices. Every time you choose one small correct action, you're opening a little bit more freedom that you didn't have before. Like the office worker in Florida
who told House she started by putting just $5 a day into an automatic savings account. Such a tiny number, too small to change her life, but big enough to change her mind. After 6 months, she realized the important thing wasn't the $900 in her account, it was the fact that she had proven to herself she could trust her own actions. And that self-trust was the real asset. In Make Money Easy, House proposes building a financial ritual. Small routines you perform as naturally as brushing your teeth or making your morning coffee. Review your spending every night. Plan your week every Sunday. Automate transfers the moment your paycheck arrives. Set a fixed time to learn about money for 20 minutes a day. These things seem too small to matter to anyone else, but they're powerful enough to pull you out of chaos and move you toward order. And House is absolutely right about one thing. Habits are the backbone of freedom. They free your brain from constant decision-making. They strip emotion out of spending. They make money management feel natural, not like a monthly battle. The wealthy aren't superhumanly disciplined, they just have habits that make discipline unnecessary. So the real question isn't, how much can you earn? It's, how many small, correct behaviors can you repeat until they become effortless? Because in the end, it's these habits, not luck, not genius, that lead you to a life where money is no longer a fear, but a tool that lets you choose the path you actually want to walk.
Part 7. Mentor and Community. Don't walk alone. In Make Money Easy, Lewis Howes makes one thing unmistakably clear. No one achieves financial freedom alone. And if you look closely at people in America who have sustainable wealth, not lottery wealth, but smart, system-built wealth, you'll notice they all share one thing. They have mentors, and they have a community that lifts them up. Howes calls this the wealth ecosystem, a space where you don't just learn from people ahead of you, but also surround yourself with others moving toward a financially healthy, grounded, and emotionally strong life. Because the truth is this: money is not hard because of numbers. It's hard because of emotions, old wounds, false beliefs, and the loneliness of trying to change your life in silence. Mentors enter your life at the moment you're finally ready to hear the truths everyone else avoids telling you. That you're undervaluing yourself, that you're avoiding facing your financial habits, that you're capable of much more if you're willing to be disciplined and to grow up emotionally. To Howes, a mentor isn't someone who teaches you how to get rich fast. A mentor is someone who sees a better version of you long before you can see it yourself. And just like countless Americans who climbed their way out of financial mud, credit card debt, paycheck-to-paycheck cycles, career confusion, they didn't escape by accident. There was always someone who helped them reevaluate their self-worth, rebuild their money system, install new habits, and most importantly, not give up on their hardest days. Community works the same way. The right environment changes everything. The wrong one can drag you down long before you realize it's happening. In many major U.S. cities, especially Austin, Denver, and online communities, you'll find small groups of 5 to 10 people meeting each month just to talk about their personal finances, goals, habits, and wins and losses. No bragging, no judgment, just transparency, accountability, and a shared desire to be better together. These small circles help people stay disciplined, survive difficult months, and avoid slipping back into their old selves. Howes says, you don't just learn from a mentor, you borrow their belief when your own belief runs out. It sounds simple, but for millions of Americans struggling with debt, unstable income, family pressure, and the quiet feeling of "I'm out of options," that borrowed belief is the lifeline that keeps them moving. And then comes the question Howes wants every reader to face. If your financial life won't change as long as you walk alone, then how much longer will you keep walking alone? Mentors and community are not luxuries.
They are the foundation that helps you not only learn how to make money, but learn how to hold on to yourself during the journey. Money has made countless people run faster than they should, believing that the more they have, the safer they'll feel, the freer they'll become, the more successful they'll appear. But eventually, everyone discovers a simple truth. If you lose yourself in that race, then no matter how much money you accumulate, you'll still be poor in another way. Lewis Howes reminds us that money is only a tool, a vehicle that unlocks richer experiences, wider choices, and a life you can live on your own terms. It's not proof of your worth, and it should never become the chain that binds you for life. In the end, financial freedom isn't about the number in your bank account. It's about living a life with integrity, a life where fear and pressure no longer dictate your decisions. So let money serve you. Let it create possibility, but don't let it take the wheel. And if you want to continue the journey of understanding money, understanding yourself, and building a life of wealth on your terms, explore Make Money Easy by Lewis Howes through the link in the description below. This book will show you the most grounded, gentle, and deeply practical path toward financial freedom, starting from the inside out.